What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about the stuff that was supposed to be in Evolve, all the different monsters and hunters, but they never got a chance to be in it, and they were very close to being in the game. They already had concept art for most of them, and some of them didn't, but there were ideas flowing out there that they wanted to do. And I just wanted to share with you guys all the different stuff here that they wanted to add. So we're going to start off with the unreleased adaptations. So we have the hunters, we have Bucket, and we're going to start here. Assault War Bucket. So there was three versions of Bucket that were going to be made. He was actually going to be in adaptation of each class. So there was going to be a medic version, a trapper version, and an assault version. I was actually very excited for the assault one when I saw that. So the assault was going to be called Assault War Bucket, Trapper Captain Bucket, and Medic EM Bucket. It's crazy. And there was going to be a Lazarus that was gonna be Necro Lazarus. He's still a medic, but he's gonna be a different type of medic. And I think the stuff that was mentioned for him was pretty cool. One of them being a change to his Lazarus device and his cloak. So for the Lazarus device, he was actually gonna be able to use it further away than instead of up close like regular Lazarus, which I think is crazy. I mean, you don't even have to get close to the dead hunter to revive them. And for the cloak, instead of cloaking, he transports himself to a different dimension. And during this little thing that he does when he's between dimensions and reality, he cannot heal or be damaged by the monster. So he can't heal any hunters when he's in between dimensions, and he can be damaged by the monster because he's in between realities and dimensions. And I don't think it lasts that long. It lasts for about the same time as the cloak. So it's pretty cool that they had that. But yeah, let's get into it. There was also going to be an Assault Slim, which was pretty cool. Torvald, Assault, Sunny. Sunny was going to be an Assault. They were going to have another Assault for Torvald. And Jack was going to be a support called Super Jack instead of a Trapper. And there was going to be another hide, which was Hellfire Hide, which I think is cool. And I forgot to mention, but Necro Lazarus was going to have a really cool design. He was going to have like a skull mask on him, and he was going to be purple, and it was going to be really, really cool. But yeah, going back, the one that I was really excited for was Kala, or also known as Kali, one of the newest monsters that they were going to release. And it turns out that instead of being a mix of all five monsters, she was actually just going to be a mix of Goliath, Kraken, and Wraith. So I think that was pretty cool. And Queen Gorgon, which was the Gorgon that you see in the Deepest Dark, she was actually, I think, going to be added as a monster, I believe. New maps, gallery, and we're going to check all that out in a second. So let's get to it. So let's get into it. For the first few hunters, we're gonna start with Bucket. So Bucket was planned to have three adaptations. So for the Assault, this adaptation was planned to release shortly after the October update, along with Phantom Wraith, which I'm gonna get into. Which I saw that there's a concept art for Phantom Wraith, and it was awesome. But he was the Assault variant of Bucket and featured a much taller, wider, and bulkier appearance, which I do have concept art that I will show in a second. And it was actually crazy how good he looked. I mean, like, he was huge. War Bucket was planned to use DeLorean's broken wings as a main weapon, which would fuel his jetpack and allow for limitless flying. War Bucket belongs in the Extinction era. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly when the Extinction era is, but don't worry, I would have all these links in the description below so you guys can check out more of the lore. For Captain Bucket, the Trapper, we have this adaptation did not have a release date. He was the Trapper variant of Bucket and would have featured a bright, colorful appearance in line with Quantum Kyra and Electro Griffin. which I think would have been dope. Many of Captain Bucket's abilities were not disclosed, although he could throw out excuse me, a miniature mine to dome the monster, which the monster would need to destroy in order to escape. He would also be able to create an electrified fence that, upon returning, would affect the monster's stamina. I think that's really cool because when he throws a miniature mine to dome the monster, it's cool because when the monster needs to destroy it in order to escape, it directs the monster away from the hunters even more. You know, the monster's already trying to go for the trapper to break the dome in Legacy. If the trapper can throw a dome that the monster needs to destroy, it would direct the monster away from them, allowing them to do more damage to the monster. But here's the problem though. uh the monster can, I don't know how much health that dome would have. I'm gonna guess it would have a pretty decent amount because if it destroys it relatively quick, then it's kind of useless. So I would say it would have the same amount of health as like, mm, I want to say maybe a tyrant, but I'm not entirely sure. The thing is, the tyrants, even with all using all your abilities on a from a monster on a tyrant, it takes all the abilities to kill a tyrant most majority of the time in Legacy, and I think the dome would. I'm just gonna guess here. I think the dome would have the same amount of health as the tyrant, maybe a little bit more since it's a dome, and it's probably gonna have a lot of health. But yeah, that's what I think. And Captain Bucket belongs in the overpowered era. So the overpowered era, I don't know if that has anything to do with overpowered in stage 2, the game. I don't think so, but it's kind of cool. Each of these has links. Each era has links for you guys to check out. So it's kind of cool. You can watch, look at all of them. Cataclysm era. That can't be a coincidence. Another game mode from stage 2. So moving on, Medic EM Bucket. This adaptation did not have a release date. He was the medic variant of Bucket and would inhabit Emmett's body. Many of EM Bucket's abilities were not disclosed, though his turns will work similarly to Emmett's medical buoys. That's actually interesting. So whenever he would throw a turn, it would, instead of shooting the monster, it would shoot something to heal the hunters. I'm guessing that's kind of cool actually. I like that. And it belonged in the Cataclysm era. Now moving on for Lazarus, medic Necro Lazarus. This adaptation did not have a release date. He was a medical variant of Lazarus and it featured a grim skull-like appearance. His Lazarus device gave off purple lightning instead of his original character's blue lightning. He was gonna have a blue design. He had like a purple mask and a purple Lazarus device, and I think his suit was also purple, which was really cool. Negro Lazarus still possessed his Lazarus device, which could heal dead teammates from a distance. However, this would give revived hunters a permanent health drain. To rectify this, revived hunters could shoot Lazarus markers on the monster to heal themselves. So whenever Lazarus would heal one of his dead teammates, they will get their health back, but they'll start draining health until they shoot the markers on the monster that Lazarus will leave on the monster. The hunters would have to shoot those markers to bring their health back, which I think was really cool. It just keeps you engaged, you know? This adaptation belongs in the Cataclysm era. For Slim, we have Assault Savage Slim, which I think sounds badass. This one did not have a release date. He was the Assault variant of Slim and was conceived to feature a larger, bulkier, and monstrous appearance due to Callie's infection. Savage Slim's abilities were not disclosed. This adaptation belongs in the Deepest Dark era. I'm convinced that all these eras were modes. I don't remember Instinction being a mode. I'm trying to remember. I think... No, that was Evacuation. No, I don't remember an Instinction being a mode. But the other ones are. Deepest Dark was in stage 2. So, with Queen Gorgon and all the other ones, yeah. So I don't remember Extinction Era, but these were all game modes in Stage 2. So for Torvald, this adaptation was planned to release alongside Captain Bucky. He was a variant of Torvald and would have a brighter, more fantastical appearance. His adaptations, his abilities were not disclosed. He also belonged in the overpowered era. For Sunny, she was going to be an assault instead of a support. This one would inhabit a modified version of Ida Lennox's suit, the Thunder Child. The abilities were not disclosed, and it belonged in the Extinction Era. All of these sound really, 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 really cool. I mean, like, these should have been in the final game. I wish we got these in the game, but they just didn't have enough time to do it. Like I said, they only had, Evolve released in 2015, and then it during that 1 year of release, it wasn't doing well apparently, and they tried to come back with Stage 2, hoping that it would save them, and that didn't work either, and it ended up shutting down a year later, I believe, or yeah, like a year later, or not even a year. I don't remember when it shut down for the first time, and they just didn't have enough time during those 2 years to make more hunters. You know, I think they did their best. They just had a really bad publisher to help them out, which was 2K. And the worst part is that 2K kept the IP instead of giving it back to Turtle Rock, which would have been the right thing to do. But whatever, Support Super Jack. This adaptation was the support variant of Jack, and he was described to be a mutated technology spliced version of Jack due to Kali's infection. Super Jack's abilities were not discussed in great length, but it was mentioned that he could be able to link the two teammates together to share the damage of their primary weapons. His repulsor would also be modified to block anything in a large area. That is insane. Like, I think that's really, 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 really cool. I mean, they should have included all this. Oh, if only they had time, guys. If only they had time. Super Jack's ability or another thing, but he was mentioned that you would link the two teammates. That's insane. Like, imagine two teammates able to share the damage of their primary weapons to block and his repulsor will block anything larger. Imagine combining Torvald's shotgun with Hyde's flamethrower. That would have been insane. Like, that would have been crazy. Or imagine combining Parnell's shotgun with the shotgun from Torvald. It's awesome. Now for Hellfire Hyde, this was supposed to be a mutated, upgraded version of the original Hyde. Hellfire Hyde featured a modified chemical primary weapon which would have been able to spray out a toxic gas. These clouds would explode when paired with Hyde's flare gun. Hellfire Hyde would also gain Daisy as a pet, a more aggressive upgraded version of Wasteland Daisy, even better than Wasteland Daisy. That's crazy. Now for the best one, Kala, also known as Kali. Now infested by the hybrid, only the most savage and brutal of hunters remain. That's what the announcer was saying. Kali is the monster variant of Kala. Her appearance was a mix between Goliath, Kraken, and Wraith. Kali, being a combined version of Goliath, Kraken, and Wraith, would be able to use their abilities, although they would be slightly modified versions of them. To do this, the player would be able to create combos with the ability keys 113 for Goliath's Fire Breath, 123 for Wraith's Warp Blast, etc. And she was described as a very versatile monster. Queen Gorgon. The Gorgon Queen is a variant of Gorgon. Not much is known about this variant other than it existed in the Deepest Dark era and would be a much larger version of the Gorgon Guardian. The Gorgon Guardians, if you don't know, are the baby versions of Gorgon in the Deepest Dark game mode. Queen Gorgon was the boss that you faced in that game mode. Now, for the concept art, here's Warbucket. This is Warbucket right here. I mean, he looks amazing. Don't worry, guys. I do have images that are a little bit bigger that I would be able to show, but this is what Warbucket looked like. This is him right here. He's got like freaking big ass shoulder pads right here on his back. And he's got this, I think it's a flamethrower right here. And I think this is really cool too because he's got like more weapons on him than he did before. Before he only had a rocket launcher, but this is the assault version, so he is supposed to have more weapons. I don't know what that thing in the middle is. It looks strange. It looks like there's a gap right there with fire in between, which is kind of cool. Now here, this is another assault right here. Not sure. This is also War Bucket, but I think this was more concept art. No, this is concept art, but this is, I don't know if this is the same model as this one. Doesn't look like it, but it looks interesting. Here is another monster that was going to be added in the game. I'm not sure which one this is. I'm trying to see if there's any names. Well, yeah, there's no names here. Oh, this is supposed to be Savage Slim. Oh my god, what the hell happened to our boy, man? Slim got mutated even further. This is supposed to be Savage Slim, the assault. But he looks like a freaking wildlife monster. Very interesting. Okay, that's Savage Slim right there. He looks like a kind of like a mutated hunter right here, but in this photo, he looks like like an actual wildlife monster. But he looks badass right there. And this is Necro Lazarus, guys. If you guys don't know, let me take my cursor out so you can see him. This is what he looks like right here. As you can see, he's got the purple Lazarus device. He's got the skull mask on, and he's got these cool pads on his shoulders. And he's just got this purple vibe on him, and it's really, really, really nice. Here is Hellfire Hide. He's got a green, instead of the red on him, he's got green. He's got the toxic mask on him, which looks awesome. He's got the green flames on him right here. And yeah, pretty much everything else is just green instead of red. And I think this is cool, the little blood splatter on his shoulder right here. And this is Kali, which I will show more images of her, but she looks awesome. This is Kali right there. In case you guys don't, this is her right here in the top. This is Behemoth. We already know about Behemoth. We know about Kraken. We know about Gorgon. We know about Wraith, Goliath. These are the eggs, the fully formed monster eggs, which are pretty cool. Lecho Griffin, Savage Slim. This one would have been who was this? Oh, this is Kala when she was possessed. I guess this is her transforming. War Bucket. Yeah. So that is the concept arts for them, but I still got a lot more to show you guys. So let's move on to the host. Now the host was supposed to be another monster that was gonna it's actually canon in Evolve, but they were never able to add it to the game, but it's still canon in the lore. So the host is a canon monster in Evolve that does not appear in the game itself. It was originally planned for the game, however, was eventually put to the side. Now, there was a video that I believe I uploaded to the channel of the host. If I have to go and check, but if not, I will make one. And the host was I think was an early version of Gorgon, and then they eventually morphed the host into Gorgon, like as what they did with Goliath, which I will show later. Goliath was gonna be a crab-like monster. He had like crab claws, and then eventually they started evolving his appearance, and they at the end he became what we know now as Goliath. And I think that's what they were gonna do with Gorgon. She first started out as this monster thing, and eventually they would start changing her appearance as they started doing more art, concept art for her, and then it would eventually be Gorgon. That's what I thought was going to be for Gorgon, but it turns out actually the host was its own separate monster. So I don't know what they did with Gorgon, how the process was for creating Gorgon, but it was this was the host. The host was its own separate monster, and I think it was really really dope. So this is what it looked like here. It was absolutely terrifying, by the way, guys. And I think I'm gonna show a video of it. So give me 1 second. All right, guys. So here is the video of the host that I was able to find, and it's really, really ancient, but it's so interesting to watch. It's actually terrifying to see this thing in the game. Like, what? Take a look at this, guys. Oh my god. Imagine hunting that thing. Look at that. Like, let me just back it up right here. I mean, this is terrifying to see. Look at this. What the fuck? That thing is crazy, bro. Look at that shit. That is terrifying to see. Imagine just walking by and you see that thing come at you. Here are some of the abilities of the host, by the way. It can do different things. It could drop spores and stuff that are parasites. Oh, and it does have parasites that grow on its back, like the video says. I'm just gonna let the video do the explanations. It's got a huge mouth on the front of it, by the way, which looks disgusting. I think this monster was even more disgusting than Gorgon. The parasites that it throws to attack you, so it grabs the parasites from its back and it throws them at you, but they look a lot like the Flood from Halo. Some of them blow up. That's crazy. And it throws flying parasites. The monster wins.
Like that.
You're a little on fire there.
By the way, guys, that monster right there on the left that's shooting those fireballs at the host is actually the early version of Goliath, in case you guys didn't know. It was the early version of Goliath. Let me just go back and check it out for you guys. This right here was supposed to be the earlier version of Goliath, and I'm going to show more of it later. But yeah, guys, it's insane how how crazy the host looked. So the host was supposed to be a grotesque beast with its body primarily consisting of one big mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth. It has multiple eyes and 3 arms protruding from its body and 4 spider-like legs, and the parasites would grow on its back. Disgusting. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna have some water. The host is a monster that fought outside alongside the Leviathans and Behemoths for the Battle of Factor and ultimately caused the destruction of the planet. Now let me just backtrack here. And Behemoths with an S. That means there are multiple Behemoths, which I think is awesome, considering that we only play as one in the game and we only see one in the game. And the fact that there are multiple Behemoths is just horrifying. Like, imagine having to kill multiple Behemoths with that massive health bar. Crazy, right? And not only that, but the Leviathans were also a major factor in the game too, that they wanted to add, but they just could not. And it was really cool because they had like their own story as well. It aided the host in the destruction of Factor and was eventually captured and transported off planet and escaped slaughtering everybody on board except a lone survivor, that being Torvald. That's right, guys. The Leviathan aided the Behemoths and host in the destruction of Factor. One was eventually captured and transported off planet and escaped its captivity, slaughtering everybody on board except a lone survivor, which would be Torvald, who managed to survive his injuries and was eventually rescued by Sunny and joined Cabot in hopes of getting revenge against the beast. That is Torvald's story. Torvald was one of the hunters that captured one Leviathan. The Leviathan escaped captivity and it injured Torvald so much that he had to get a robotic arm, legs, and it was just insane. And then he did survive his injuries. He was rescued by Sunny, but she couldn't fix his legs or bring him back, so she had to replace them with the cybernetic legs and arm. And then he would eventually join Cabot, which would, because he wanted to get revenge against the Leviathans, which would have been cool if we saw in the game. It would have been nice to see Torvald with some dialogue against the Leviathans, but that's what we got. And I think it's really cool. It really is, because there's so many lore things with each hunter in the game. Like, there's so much stuff to go over. It's crazy how small the game is, but how much story it has. And I think that's really, really, really cool. The host is hinted to still be active, as a Morse code was translated to show that a mysterious monster appeared and overran their forces and hacked into their security system, possibly implying some sort of adaptation where its parasites gain the ability to hack into things such as turrets. The host was shown within the demo video of capable of summoning 6 types of parasites, which consist of berserker parasites. Berserker parasites act as normal cannon fodder for the host. Bomber parasites, which explode, showering the surrounding area in acid and leaving behind an acid mist cloud. Mine parasites would burrow underground and explode when hunters went near them. They had a lifespan of 60 seconds, so after that they would just die. The Slayer parasites would infect wildlife and hunters by pouncing on them and laying eggs inside of them and giving birth to more Slayer parasites to repeat the process. That is insane. Imagine a Slayer parasite going inside you as you're a hunter, and you just die and more of them come out of you. Nasty. The tank parasites were heavily armored and stronger than berserker parasites, but slower than them as well. So they were basically the bigger versions. And here's some concept art for this. Here's the Slayer parasite. Here's the bomber ones, which would explode. And then the regular ones were this is the berserker ones. The berserker parasites were the regular ones. They're just the normal ones. I think it's cool. They didn't have any for tank parasites, which were the armor ones. The wasp parasites were capable of flight and would sting anything that opposed them and the host, which you guys did see in the video that I showed. Those flying ones were the wasp ones. Parasite docking. The host could actually switch its traversal method by docking certain parasites. Only 2 parasites are known to do this. The tank parasites could be docked for extra armor, and the wasp parasites could be docked to allow the host the ability of flight. Wow. So it could use the tank parasites for extra armor and the wasp parasites to fly around, which was pretty cool, because in the end of the video, when it was fighting the early Goliath prototype, it was actually in midair. So that was pretty cool. The hose was eventually cut due to being too complex for their current technology, although that hasn't stopped it from being a part of the actual story, and as despite this is still canon and exists within the story. That is crazy, bro. But let's get more of this, all right? Let's keep on going. So the lost variants, fan art, and accumulated information since the end of Evolve. I just want to give credit to this person right here, the Jada, the Jada on Reddit, for this amazing post, because this has a lot of information that we would need to check out. I'm not gonna go over everything because there's a lot of stuff here, but if you guys would like to check this out, I'm gonna leave links for all these tabs I have open for you guys to check out. But yeah. So Phantom Wraith. This is a little bit of Phantom Wraith. So she was gonna have a supernova variant, a slow, powerful punch that could be charged up for greater damage and knockback. She has an inverted version of Warp Blast that pulls hunters in instead of blasting them away, which I think is really interesting. And Abduction variant is a one-way abduction with limited directional control. Hunters caught in this path are grabbed and taken along for the ride. And then the passive and traversal, we don't know. but it's kind of cool. So here is the art direction for it. Because scopes were released, it was pretty easy to get the idea for what Phantom Wraith would have looked like. For color scheme and VFX, it was shared that she was going to be black with ghostly spines, green, I think. The decoy texture was the actual texture, at least part of it. This is the result of putting together everything we know. Developer quote on abilities: it's like a falcon punch from Smash that you could aim. It smacks people out of position. There was an inverted warp blast that would work like Darkseer. The abduction variant would propel her in a straight line like Charge, while allowing her limited air control. Any character she hit, she would grab and would be along for the ride. Wow. The Phantom Wraith Hunt is the era named for none other than the Phantom Wraith herself. The first Phantom Wraith was originally the Visfest Wraith caught in the Wraith Trap. Wow, guys, this is huge news right here. I didn't know this before, but apparently the Phantom Wraith was actually the Wraith that was caught in Wraith Trap that we see on the map. That Wraith that we see in Wraith Trap that's trapped inside that little tube, I mean big tube, that Wraith would eventually become Phantom Wraith. It's insane. So when they were experimenting on that Wraith, we didn't know that that Wraith would actually become a new version of which would be later known as Phantom Wraith. If the game had kept going and it kept getting released with more updates, we would have seen Phantom Wraith become in the game. She would have been in the game. They already had most of her abilities down. Her art was pretty much done, which I will show. And it's crazy. Like it looks really, really good. So she was originally the Wraith caught in Wraith Trap, mutated from its constant mistreatment by Bonstar's scientists. After adapting to the tortures from the facility, it escapes containment and begins to terrorize the colony and hunt the crew. It is the first monster to canonically kill hunters. Kyra dies from the encounter, and Parnell is put in critical condition, causing Abe to take up the mantle of assault. What? This is insane. Hold on. Kyra dies. Oh my god. When it escapes captivity, it goes to terrorize the colony and hunt the crew. Its first encounter, its first monster, it is the first monster to kill actual hunters for real. Kyra dies when fighting the Phantom Wraith, and Parnell is put in critical condition. And this causes Abe to take up the mantle of Assault. Abe goes from Trapper to Assault, which I think is Renegade Abe. As seen in the Hunter variant, here we go. Renegade Abe. It may or not be responsible for the death of Griffin, Halsey, and other hunters that haven't been announced dead before the cancellation. Wow. Blitz Markov, Rogue Val, Tech Sergeant Hank, and an unknown Trapper variant are seen to hunt it down and kill it. Though they likely defeat the original Phantom Wraith, the monsters now know the genetic code to spawn new Phantom Wraiths, which uniquely do not need to use monster eggs to cross the dimensional weak points of Shear. This accelerates the rate of monster attacks and ultimately ushers in a cataclysm. Developer quotes and wow. This is insane. Oh man, I have to stop for a little bit and drink some water because my throat was getting a little bit itchy there. But this is insane. Wow. It may or not be responsible for the death of Griffin, Halsey, and other hunters that haven't been announced dead. Blitz Margot, Rogue Val, Tech Sergeant Hank. These are all alternate variants of the original hunters. They and an unknown Trapper variant are sent to hunt it down and kill it. I'm pretty sure it might be the Bucket variant. The Bucket Trapper variant that may or not be the one. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember them mentioning any other Trapper variants except the Bucket one. But That is really, really cool. They are sent to hunt it down and kill it. Though they likely defeat the original Phantom Wraith, the monsters now know the genetic code to spawn new Phantom Wraiths, which uniquely do not need to use monster eggs to cross the dimensional weak points of Sheer. So they likely kill the original Phantom Wraith that killed Kyra, which is insane. And it puts Parnell in critical condition, but the monsters know the genetic code to spawn new versions of those Phantom Wraiths, which is insane. So they could just bring in more of them. That's awesome. Art direction. War Bucket was definitely further out in development schedule, but the nature of his kit was fairly well solidified. Many aspects of what he intended to be can be seen throughout various scrapped ideas and concept art, which I did show. Though we only had one really good reference of what he might have looked like. Sheik and I were able to infer a lot from his kit and descriptions. The Redditor and the person that they were working with were able to put together a picture. We did take some creative liberties in places we couldn't find anything finalized. For example, to match the Instinction era color palette and extend the details regarding his sword being made from the wreck of the Lorianne. He made a sword from the wreck of the Lorianne, which is awesome. He fashioned his whole body from the ship's presumed wreckage. While there is no specific reference for the jetpack, since his kit is so centered on staying in the air, we give him a mini Lorianne wings for his jetpack. We also connected the source to his jetpack with a plane. That is insane. Oh, it doesn't I don't think the links work anymore, so that's unfortunate, but would have been cool. Warbucket's primary move is like Lennox Plasma Lance, but instead of stacking any damage boost, each kit helps refuel the jetpack. Dash, like Lennox's jump, but straight in the direction Warbucket is facing. Assault Matrix, standard assault and reducing incoming by 75%. Yep. So he would have been in stage 2 since he has the Assault Matrix, because I'm the only stage 2 has the Assault Matrix, while Legacy has shields. Developer quotes on abilities. My favorite bucket was War Bucket, a giant bucket in a war suit similar to Lennox. His primary was one of the wings. So he's actually wearing a suit that's not his actual body, which is awesome. It's still pretty cool. His primary is one of the wings for the Lorianne, fashioned in a giant sword, and he could use his jetpack to stay in the air as long as he was hitting stuff. Oof. Can you imagine those people in stage 2? The ones that like to stay up in the air to avoid getting hit by any damage? Those guys they would have a hell of a time with War Bucket if they could just stay in the air nonstop, dealing damage as an assault without ever having to touch the ground. Oh my god. We already have a problem with those types of players that like to use their jetpack to go straight up in the air to avoid damage. Imagine War Bucket playing as War Bucket when you never have to go to the ground. You can just stay in the air all the time. That's crazy. After the worst happens in the deepest dark, the remaining members of the crew retaliate and use Kala to enter the monster homeworld and end the war once and for all. Little is known of this era other than the fact that Paladin Parnell, Warbucket, and Mecha Sunny lead the charge using the big bulky mecha technology scrapped together in the last-ditch attempt to defeat the monsters once and for all. It is speculated that some sort of Patterson effect is used to destabilize the Cherenkov space between dimensions, locking monsters and humans into their respective homeworlds, at least for a time. However, even through humanity wins the war through this risky maneuver, both the human and monster dimensions have both been damaged beyond imagining, and humanity re-enters a dark age as they prepare to slowly rebuild. Wow. Developer codes and details on the story. Is this a time period at the tail end of the war where Paladin Parnell, Warbucket, and Sunix hit them where they live? They say yes. Wow. They would have, but the monsters would have basically have sent humans back to the Dark Ages. That is insane, guys. But let's move on to the lost variants. Now, here is more stuff going on with Kali, but I just wanted to show you guys this. This is Phantom Wraith. And this is what Phantom Wraith would have looked like. So she looks just like regular Wraith, but as you can see, she has these green ghostly spines coming out of her. She looks like a ghost. She has some white, she has her face, her forehead is like white, and she has these brown spikes coming out of her and these brown horns that were black. They were black before. This is what she looks like. And I think this is what she would have looked like in the game. I believe. I'm pretty sure that's Phantom Wraith right here. Yeah, I think that is her right there. It looks like her. She has that white mask right there that she has up here, which is pretty cool. Textures reused in the reworked decoy ability Phantom. So they were able to change the textures of the Phantom to make it look like Phantom Wraith. Interesting. I don't think they could have done it with regular Wraith, so they had to do it on the Phantom. This is more of Phantom Wraith, which we discussed already. This is War Bucket right here. He's got the wings from the Lorraine. A big sword that he crafted from the Lorraine. And then here is him again. And this is this is a different version of Hyde with the sword. Here's some pictures of the Lorraine. Paladin part now. And then here's War Bucket again. I think this is the jetpack that he would have used. This is all concept art that they were making. But here is Kali. This is stage 3 Kali. The monster known as Kala. But they call her Kali now when she's a monster. Mix of Goliath, Kraken, and Wraith. Now here's the cool part right here. It does seem like she's a mix of also Behemoth and Gorgon. This chest piece right here looks a lot like Gorgon. It gives off Gorgon vibes, and this arm right here looks very much like Behemoth. I'm just saying that right now. It's got that rock. These look like rocks right here. This looks like one of Behemoth's rock arms. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. I don't think it was just a mix of Goliath, Kraken, and Wraith. I think it was a mix of all 5 monsters. This looks like it was taken from Gorgon. This chest piece right here, and then this arm right here looks very clearly like from Behemoth. It's got the rock arms and everything. It's got the rock arm. The only other monster to have rocks on him is Behemoth, and it very much looks like him. I mean, look at this. The skin underneath, it looks just like Behemoth's arm, except Kala's version. But yeah, let's keep looking. This is Wraith's claws. Wraith's claws right here. This is gotta be Kraken's head right here. This is definitely Kraken's head right here. And I think these little teeth or something coming out, I think that might be Gorgon. I'm not sure. That might be related to Gorgon. I'm not entirely sure, but I know the head is Kraken. The tail, I think the tail might be one of Wraith's tails that she has, because you know she doesn't have legs. She has like multiple tails coming out of her. I think this is one of her tails, and these legs are definitely Goliath. They're definitely Goliath's legs, and then this arm might be another one of Goliath's features because they look exactly like the legs. And then the body looks a little bit like Wraith. Yeah, the body I think is Wraith because you can see the tail coming in and out of her right here, connected to the body itself. So yeah, we basically got variants of all the monsters. You know, you got Kraken, Goliath, Wraith, Behemoth, and then a little bit of Gorgon, which is pretty cool. This is stage 2, by the way. Stage 2 of what Kali would have looked like. The design intent was for her to have elements of every other monster. And so the other post said it was just Goliath, Kraken, and Wraith, but here it's saying of every other monster. So I think this one is correct because that's what it looks like here. For her colors, we know from her hunter form that she has heavily Kraken and Wraith inspired palette. From her glow, for her glow, I chose bright yellow to make her armor glow and central eye stand out with as much intensity as possible. Also, it bears mentioning that the large glowing central eye is designed to have the silhouette of what used to be Kala's human body. This large glowing center eye right here is what used to be Kala's body. The silhouette. Wow. And then stage 3. This is stage 3 right here. As you can see, that rock arm has definitely gotten bigger. So it's more rocky now. And now you don't even see the skin underneath. This is so cool, man. This is so cool. That's what Kali would have looked like right here at stage 3. We had some concepts, but nothing finalized. Think Kraken mixed with Wraith. As you can see, it definitely was mostly Kraken and Wraith put together, but it had variants of every other monster also. But it was mostly the palette that made most of the monster was Kraken and Wraith. Like she would have Meteor, Goliath's Fire Breath, Gorgon's Acid Spit, Goliath's Rock Throw, the Lightning Strike, the Warp Blast, Elder Kraken's Banshee Missile. She had Phantom Wraith's Super Punch, Behemoth's Rock Wall, Glacial Behemoth's Deep Freeze, and one of Gorgon's abilities. Ten attacks versus every other monster's 4 ability attacks. Every monster has 4 abilities. Kali would have had 10 abilities. Because the way you would have to code, then strike each time using an ability, you really have to think ahead of your moves. But the potential for power would have been staggering. So they would have obviously balanced it with all her abilities, but you would have to think ahead of how you would do each one of her attacks. But she would have had the most attacks of any monster in the game. This is Necro Lazarus right here. Little concept art. This is what he would have looked like, by the way. This is the skull mask, and this is the arm. The Lazarus device with purple lightning inside of it instead of the blue lightning that we usually see. It was just it was just a rough Photoshop of what they pictured using the in-game art. But I did show what he would have looked like before. In case you guys need a refresher, I will grab it in a second. Let me just show the rest of here. But yeah, this is just a Photoshop. It's not a bad Photoshop, actually. Let's show Hellfire Laz really quick. And here is Necro Lazarus of what his actual design would have been. No Photoshop, no concept art. Well, this is concept art, but made from the developers themselves. This is what his design would have been. But yeah, this is really, really cool. I do have a few more things to show. this video right here is what Goliath's process would have been. Earlier in the video, they talk about Kraken's abilities. So originally, Kraken wouldn't have flown in the air. He would, but they decided to make him a flying monster towards the end, which is pretty cool. But here they're gonna talk about Goliath. So let's do it.
And then Goliath, I think you can see, obviously the precedence of, King Kong and other, it's a little bit more familiar, but what was kind of the journey of taking kind of that core and then making him into something unique and distinct as he is in the game?
Goliath was a long time coming.
Yeah,
We
I
worked
think
on
we
him
did
for-
like 6 versions of him or something, and I think 4 of them were playable in the game. So he
He
was
was the guinea pig.
Yeah, he was the first one. There's a reason that King Kong is a favorite, where you can see expressions in his face and you can see that he has feelings. And interestingly, Goliath needed to be our poster child for the game. It needed to be the one that everybody related to, that when they see a picture of this monster, they know that means evolve.
So let's talk about a few examples of things that were significantly altered during the course of development. I think one of the key ones, because it's still amazing for me to even conceive of it, is that originally the monster was played from the first-person perspective.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's something that you guys wrestled with for a while before realizing that that just can't work.
Yeah, it was one of those things where we'd always just envisioned the game. All we've ever built as Turtle Rock Studios is first-person shooters, so we just always assumed that the monster would be first-person. Why would it not? That's what we do. And so, yeah, the monster had claws as first-person, and you'd see like their first version of Goliath was actually called Scorpion, and it was more like a giant crab. And so we had like you had these big claws on the side of the screen, and
Looked kind of dopey.
and they
Crazy
looked
that this is
pretty
what he
bad.
would have looked
There's a lot
like.
of problems with that. One, it felt like you were a guy in a suit. You didn't feel like you were a monster. It felt like you had these monster gloves on. We could have sold those or something later, right? Like monster gloves for Halloween. Then the other thing was, we had traps and mines that you're stepping on, and there's all this awareness. You're surrounded by hunters a lot of times, and so being first person, you're blind to a lot of that. You can't see.
You get a harpoon in the back, and suddenly you can't move, and you have no clue why.
Right,
Yeah.
and so we would have text that would show up on the screen that says you have been harpooned, and that's the best that we could do. And so we had all these problems, and we were wrestling with those problems for a long time. And a couple of the guys on the
By the way, guys, if you don't know, this guy right here, this guy with the long hair, this is Chris Ashton, the guy who made the YouTube channel with all the Evolve early prototype videos that I showed on the channel. That video of the host was on his channel, and I will link everything in the description below. But Chris Ashton, the guy who has all those Evolve videos, prototype videos, this is him right here. He's the one that made all those videos, and I think that's really, really cool.
best that we could do. And so we had all these, took it upon themselves to experiment with making a third-person camera and just seeing what did that feel like. And that wound up being, was controversial across the whole studio, right? Some people were very adamant first-person shooter players and felt like third-person shooters are a completely different genre. And it's just one of those things where we had to just remind everybody to be open-minded about it, and let's put it in the game and try it.
And there's Goliath. Oh my god, and that was the final version of Goliath right there, guys. That was insane. First of all, they did a great job with the third person. It was definitely better than having first person monster. But look at this, they finally finished it, and this is what Goliath ended up looking like, stage 2. Oh my god. That's crazy, man.
You guys
And
are
there's
starting
some
to see
Goliath
just,
right there,
all those small
development.
incremental steps that you see has significant impact inside of the game. That's because you're with that game so frequently. I mean, do you ever worry that, like, sometimes like the forest and the trees, you're having a hard time separating them?
Yeah, we want to get the game in people's hands as soon as possible, right? Because that's where a lot of our lessons are learned.
And one thing that's really important to us and really valuable to us that I don't know if the community knows, is that when the game comes out, it's not like we're done and we're wash our hands of it and Evolve is out there and whatever launches is the way that Evolve's going to be forever, right? The game is deep enough and there's enough strategy that they are going to figure out things that we've never done inside of the studio, combinations and strategies and that sort of thing. So for us, it's just more of the same. You know, it's just now we've got more eyes on it. We're going to get more information, more data, more feedback. And so we're going to just continue rolling and, you know, continue making adjustments.
And that was it, guys. That is the video. And it's really, really cool how they did that, because like it's so cool seeing how Goliath would have looked before, you know? Like it's amazing. And I think when we see that, it really does show you guys like how far they came in development. Like, I mean, look how he looked. Let me see if I can find it. I mean, this was his final look, which was amazing. I mean, this is the Goliath we know now, but the fact that he looked like this before, I mean, like,
And so we had like you had these big.
the fact that he looked like this before a freaking crab is insane.
You had these big.
Look at this. He looked like a freaking crab. That's crazy, man. They went from this to the final Goliath that we see now. They went from this to this. Holy moly, man. What a difference. From crab hands to freaking, oh my gosh. The change is insane. Look at that. I gotta tell you guys, they did really, really good in the development stage. I mean, Goliath evolving from a freaking crab to a more Godzilla monster, like they mentioned in the video. They mentioned in the video that everybody loves Godzilla, and actually the same person just said the same thing right here for a more Godzilla type. But they literally said in the video that everybody loves Godzilla. Godzilla is like everybody's favorite, and that's what they were trying to go from. They were taking inspiration from Godzilla, and then they ended up with the Goliath that we know now, which is awesome. But I still got one more thing to show you guys, and I'm gonna go ahead and do it now. But I'm not gonna show everything because there's a lot of images that I'm gonna show you guys. It's a lot. So this is one of the claws that they had from Goliath. This is what they originally ran with in the beginning. And then here's a different trap. I think this might be the trapper that they were talking about. The trapper variant that would eventually go and help Palin, Blitz Markov, Rogue Val, and I think it was a different, I think it was the Sunny variant. No, not the Sunny variant. It was a different support. But they mentioned a trapper variant. I think this might be the trapper variant, but again, they also mentioned that Hellfire Hyde would have a more upgraded version of Daisy, and here's Daisy. So I don't know, maybe this definitely does not look like Hyde or Hellfire Hyde, but here's Daisy. So I think this is normal Daisy, and this is the trapper variant that they mentioned that was gonna help Blitz Markov, Rogue Val, and I think it was, I forget the support. I don't remember the support. I don't think it was Bucket. It was someone else, maybe Sunny. I can't remember exactly. And here is the Goliath prototype. Pretty dope, I know. They went from the crab monster to this, and then eventually to the Goliath that we know. This is the first version of Goliath. Literally a crab. An insect type creature with claws. I'm pretty sure this is a crab. I mean, it looks like a crab. It looks like an insect with crab features. Because it's got the claws, it's got the shell. But it looks like an insect too at the same time. And here's Trap Saw Grawler, which looks like Daisy. Savage Slim. This looks like a new wildlife that they were going to add to the game. And here's the host. This is the host of what it would have looked like. I'm guessing this right here is stage 3. This is stage 1. Stage 2, stage 3. I think that's what it looks like. This one, I'm guessing this is stage 3 because you can see it's growing features on him. This looks like stage 3. I mean, it's growing, it's gotten more tissue on him compared to the previous versions. Electronic shield. This looks like a new hunter. This one looks awesome, by the way, guys. I mean, look at that. That looks insane. This looks like Kali right here. This is Kali, I think, right here. Looks like she's sucking the soul out of a hunter, creating a gas cloud of lightning, and then she strikes lightning from that cloud into a hunter. The Mangler Forest. And then these are mines, I believe. These look like the relays that you see in Defend, in the game mode Defend on Legacy, where you have to destroy the relays to progress further to the giant relay that's connected to the Lorien. This looks like those relays that you have to destroy. If you guys have played Defend, you would know what I'm talking about. Directional landmine. Monster growth. Interesting. All monsters must feed to get energy. Large prey provide more energy than small prey. Energy is used as fuel, burning slowly when the monster is inactive and burning more quickly when it's moving fast and hitting hard. Build enough energy and the monster will metamorph into the next stage of life, a larger, more powerful monster. Wow. That's really cool. When the game begins, the monster starts life small, about the size of a grown man. It is the most vulnerable at this size. Goliath is around that size, actually. The other monsters are a little bit bigger at stage 1. It is most vulnerable at this size, but it's also difficult to find. It can easily hide in foliage, avoiding detection, but it must move. It must feed to grow. Its movements are quick and hard to track. At this stage, it poses a real threat to the life of any human caught alone. Unless hit with a net, harpoon gun, or other mobility neutralizer, stage 1 monsters can easily outrun humans because of their increased mobility. Stage 2. The monster is coming into its own now. It has strength and size on its side. While not yet fully developed, a stage 2 monster can go toe-to-toe with 4 well-equipped humans. This stage presents a hell of a fight for both sides. Stage 3, the monster now carries the full might of all its natural-born weapons. It's a behemoth, a monster in truest sense. It has the advantage here, demanding the greatest respect. Only the best players utilizing the best strategies have a chance of defeating it. Stage 3 monsters are all equipped with a killing blow attack that will kill prey outright, including humans. But the move takes time to pull off and it can be interrupted by other players. All stage 3 monsters develop an acute sensitivity to electrical fields called electroception. This allows them to detect the heartbeat of the mercs from great distances. On the flip side, stage 3 monsters are so large that they also lose their ability to hide from humans. Dropships hide in the atmosphere, detect and relay stage 3 monsters' positions to all human players' HUDs. This assures that the game will come to its final confrontation quickly if a monster reaches stage 3. Wow, here's stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Wow. This one looks a little bit like a tyrant, but it's not. Home-built flamethrower. Harpoon gun. Chain lightning, I'm guessing right here. Perimeter defense, chain lightning right here. Oh, wow. I actually thought this was a chain lightning. Oh man, if you can drive the Lorian, that would be so cool. Berserker Parasite. Well, guys, that's all I have to show here. There's a lot more images that I could show, but I'm going to leave the link for everything down in the description below. So if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to drop a like. Let's see if we can get this video to 20 likes. Hopefully we can get that far. That'll be awesome. If you aren't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do subscribe for more content like this. I'm going to be doing more Evolve videos for a long time. So if you're subscribed, you'll get notifications for that. And yeah, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy. Peace.